What do I have here? Oh, okay. So, well, I think he would hate Sven, particularly the Berghain bouncer, because he's like, he definitely wouldn't get let in. And I think he'd be intimidated by Sven because he's like muscular and has a big beard and muscles and tattoos.
No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
He would be tweeting.
He would say that he would be enraptured by Sven because he's so big. He's a great big guy.
I'm taking a Trump B over here. Sorry, Sven, Berghain's not hot.
No. I think number one, I think Trump is definitely strange enough to be let in. I think he would. I think he's like always. Look, okay. If you told him that it was only seemly to be seen out in Lower Manhattan in clothes from like UI Studio or whatever, and then he just sort of shambled his way to because they always let old guys in. If he just shambled his way to the front. Then he'd get let in. He'd thank Sven and he'd say, "Oh, one of the biggest boys I've ever seen. And look at this line. Everyone wants in. It's very hot." And then he would go and he'd go into the toilets and he'd be I think it'd be great. It's the toilets where he would start to break down because he's a massive germaphobe, right?
True.
He's famously he would just completely go crazy, sort of just watching all of the goings on in there. I think that's when he would break down, and then his brain would have to contend with the fact that like there are lots of very big, very good looking people in there, which are good, but that they're all being very, very dirty. It's very, very dirty, folks. Folks, they can't even pee in the toilet. They're getting it all over each other, folks. They're getting it all over the floor.
I think Trump would gravitate to the DJs because he knows like, all right, people pay attention to these guys. And he would just try to ingratiate themselves to them, like the like famous DJs, like Jeff Mills. He would just pretend that he was Jeff Mills' best friend in the '90s. He's like, "I told Jeff, you're a wizard. You're a wizard on the boards, Jeff. That's what I call Jeff, the wizard."
Have you seen Ben Klock? He's one of the handsomest men up on the front right. He's one of the handsomest men. He looks like I've made Ben Klock the head admiral of the U.S. Navy.
Well, the main reason I want to imagine this is to imagine if Trump was president of Germany now, so he would just go in front of the crowd of coal workers like in East Germany in the Lausitz and be like, 1990, folks. All right, imagine. I was Trezor. I could have had Helen Hyland at the Love Parade, folks. At the Love Parade. Don't we love the Love Parade?
The Techno Viking, a very good friend of mine.
Hey, and welcome to your weekly Corner Späti. It is me, one of your lovely co-hosts, Nick. Oh no, I'm not Nick. Nick is the person who usually says this. God damn it. All right, this is Kieran. I'm Kieran. And I'm with usual Späti gang of Rob and Nick. Yulia has contracted the coronavirus again. That is why she's not with us. That's what we do to explain all our absences for this period of time. But we are also joined by the lovely Riley Quinn of Trash Future Podcast.
What's up? How's it going?
And send in your answers to how's it going.
Yeah, big
cornerspady@gmail.com.
Yes. Big get for us this week.
To Riley.
Yes,
we are talking to Keir Starmer's chief of staff. Was here to tell us about the exciting things in the UK.
Yeah, I'm excited that now the UK Labour Party, along with the US Democratic Party, have finally managed to become the world's two preeminent neoliberal parties. There are, it seems, in the English-speaking world,
stuff.
In the English-speaking world, there seem to be neoliberalism is literally only alive and well in the nominally left-wing parties as an establishment as an ideology at all. So, congratulations, you're losers.
I don't know if we plan to get into it, but Kieran was just telling us before we started recording, like we started this year with like this retrospective of like the left populist parties of Europe, like Syriza, Podemos, and stuff, and it's like, that didn't really work. But the Labour Party and Bernie Sanders, like that's something, right? And now here we are, not even 3 months later, like, whoops.
Yeah, that's completely flipped because like Podemos and La France Insoumise have just completely ran with this whole like capitalism is failing thing. We fucking told you. So that's great. But
I'm sure it's not going to flip again. It's going to stay like this forever.
My real opinion as to why this is, right, is that all of these parties, these parties that either did get PASOKified in mainland Europe or should have been PASOKified, but just are kept alive by electoral systems that like treat geography as significant, like first past the post of the Electoral College. So like Labour and the Democrats have been kept on life support by the fact that new parties can't easily start. The ones in more proportional systems, those aren't parties that got taken over, that had internal bureaucracies and mechanisms and decades of apparatchiks who like saw it as their way to as either the stepping stone to being a sort of senior spin doctor forever, or as a stepping stone to like a profitable PR career. Like they were actually created specifically for this purpose, which is to fight for a more socialist settlement in the post-financial crisis era, whereas the Democrats and Labour are essentially like friend clubs for people who carried roller backpacks to elementary school. And unfortunately, the immune systems of those parties were able to quash the left populist challenges to their neoliberal settlements. And so I've long been thinking about this, right? That if you look at the UK politics since 2015, or even since 2010, you almost get a laboratory perfect example of an experiment in how mainstream parties can be taken over through entryism, like with Labour, when lots of people joined to vote for Corbyn, or through threat, because essentially UKIP got taken over. Sorry, the Conservatives got taken over by UKIP. Like they have UKIP's more or less all their big policies the Conservatives are now doing. That's why UKIP is now just a political party for like YouTube commenters. It's very strange.
I love what was it, Grand Plan Purple or something?
Yeah, War Plan Purple. Hilarious account. But like, so what we tried to do on the left is enter the Labour Party and then like show everyone who was already there, all those apparatchiks, that it's like, hey, we're here now. We're going to be. We're going to be taking things over, and like people like fucking wasn't that like Chris Leslie or Mike Gapes and so on, were just there sort of resisting it at every turn. Whereas and eventually, like even though they left the party, like their side sort of won. I mean, to be honest, whether like we keep this break with neoliberalism as the rest of the world is broken with neoliberalism because of circumstance, it all comes down to what Starmer's shadow cabinet picks are going to be. They could be good. Yeah. I have no idea. I'm withholding my actual judgment until I see that. Because like they know the 2017 manifesto is a winner, but like the world changed a few weeks ago, so who the fuck knows what's going to happen. But regardless, back to my topic. We sort of tried to go in and change things and got beaten out. Or got beaten out in a way, but maybe the ideas are still there. I mean, Starmer really liked the Green New Deal. Like, let's see what he does. In UKIP's case, what they did was they threatened the Tories in every single marginal, or because the Tories were always worried that just enough votes would go to UKIP that the right wing vote in these marginals would get split, and then votes would go to Labour. And so the Tories, every time they made a concession, they made the concession towards UKIP until finally UKIP basically took them over from the outside psychologically. So Nigel Farage was able to like redraw the constitution of the Conservative Party without ever himself having like been a member for that time. And so I think there's a lot to think about for the left as to how do you work in electoral systems. I think what the experience of the last several years has shown us is that takeovers of existing political parties that exist as institutions is probably not the way forward. And the new parties that come up, either that threaten parties in geographical first past the post or electoral college systems, those seem to be more effective methodologies. I'm not saying anyone should do that or not, Labour Compliance Unit. I'm just saying that seems to be the more effective strategy. And similarly, in the continent, new political parties that are created specifically to deal with this that don't have the baggage. And when I say baggage, by the way, I'm not just talking about the Blairite war criminals. I'm also talking about the little old ladies who knit Israel did 9/11 tea cozies. They're also baggage. And like we could, and to do something like make a party like Podemos or Syriza or France Insoumise, although France Insoumise has quite a few problems with the latter of those two types of baggage as well, but I digress.
Yeah.
But to make a new political party as a tool to like deal with the problems of today, I don't know. The closest thing we have to laboratory conditions says that's probably the best way forward. But like I said, we'll see what Keir does. Anyway, I feel like I've talked for like a full hour. So what do you guys think?
I was just thinking in the sense of how, because I think we've talked about this before on a different episode, with the sense of how it's so much easier for the right to do this within their own parties because the right are so willing to have like a mask off moment of like, oh yeah, this is like actually what we believe. We just needed this like Trump moment, or we needed, Greece's example with their new government who's just like appeased like neo-Nazis in order to win them back. It is genuinely like a thing of I do think it comes into the sense of when you do have like a very strongly critique of capitalism, that's where then like this thing kind of starts being much harder for them, the left, to deal with too within these establishment parties, because they are I mean, at least for the Democrats, not really necessarily, like labor's history is different, but the Democrats were always solidified around being like, somewhat like a liberal capitalist, but like somewhat social welfare state. Same thing with like the SPD of like the last few years and last few decades and whatnot. They have radical traditions, obviously, but they haven't done that for 50, 60 years, if even longer than that. But with the Republican Party or other examples of right-wing parties that we're seeing throughout Europe, it's just kind of like, oh, you wanted us to get more racist? Like, we'll gladly fucking do that. Like, I genuinely am curious of like how like Merkel's like CDU is going to deal with the right, because they've appeased them in certain states, but on a national election level, they've really tried to be like, we're the right-wing government that then isn't the AFD, and that's not going to work in 2021, 2022. When's the next election here, Kieran? I don't fucking know.
2021.
Yeah.
21.
So
yeah.
I think that it's like, I don't know. It is just like it seems like right now just like a genuinely like left-wing problem of dealing with this. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like
I 100% agree with Riley's assessment of things, but it was I said the exact opposite thing at the beginning of the year. So fuck me.
Well, also like one of the reasons you ask yourself why the left deals with this and the right doesn't, it's because the right doesn't really have to organize in any meaningful way. Because much of what, because for example, if you want to start on a very micro example, if you want to have a left-wing think tank that promulgates, counter-cyclical like taxation and spending, whatever, even if it's like a social democratic think tank, there needs to be someone with money who wants to achieve this goal for the reasons of just wanting to achieve it. They have to just like, yes, this seems good, I'll put money behind it. Whereas for someone like the Koch brothers funding like the Americans for Prosperity or whatever, like giving Charlie Kirk $200,000 a year to like go and shit himself in college campuses, like that's an investment for them. Like that is money that gets spent that makes money back. That's a capital investment. It's just it makes money back in the form of like the ability to dump nuclear waste in elementary schools and thereby save money on your nuclear waste dumping costs. Right? So it's like if you ask why this is a left-wing problem and why the right seems to fall into lockstep more easily, it's just that all the incentives are already exist for them to work together. They don't need to overcome any of the incentives of the system they're trying to change, because fundamentally they're trying to change it in ways that most of the incentives kind of want to change anyway, because they imagine that like competition or racial hierarchy or whatever is natural, and so they just ignore all of the historical processes, or willfully or not, that make these things sort of seem natural, and then they just sort of keep entrenching them further and further and further. It's the very definition of swimming with the current.
Oh, and on that pleasant note, I think we probably should deal with some information that the general public, or I don't know, our listenership, we don't reach the general public, should probably get, which is, on all these cheery notes, the EU has probably completely fucked itself into... yeah, for sure. So basically, the short of this is a bunch of countries that never agree with each other agreed for one time to say we need Eurobonds to get through this fucking crisis, to get through coronavirus. And 4 countries said no and completely fucked the whole system, the whole thing. So that's fun. Yeah. Can you, Nick, can you explain bonds to us real quick? Because
bonds are money. There is no other way to explain it. It's like money issued by a central bank. That is the easiest way to explain it. I mean, yeah, it's like, it's the sense of like, you look in the United States of whenever you had like the bailouts and stuff like that. That's just the Federal Reserve buying and selling bonds to, put money in place that they can have money to, invest in whatever, saving their fucking idiot company or whatever. However, in the sense of with the Corona bonds, what the general idea was to then it becomes like far more complicated too, because you have how many fucking economies that then run on the European on the euro?
We're at 19.
Yeah, like all of which were very much not equal, and all who then need different help in different ways. But the idea then is that the money was going to be allocated to each country through then these euro bonds, or through Corona bonds that they were like nicknamed right now, kind of just like as emergency funds to not continue the death cult of austerity that we are currently still in at the end of 2008. And 4 big players, the 4 biggest players of the Eurozone, said like, nah, we can't do that because they're frugal. Yeah.
So big pay. Yeah. The big players is actually a bit of a stretch because some of the countries that behind the Corona bonds thing included France, which is like one of 2 big players in the Eurozone.
Yeah.
But the frugal 4 were Germany, Netherlands, Austria, and Finland. And the Netherlands were the ones who were like being real messy bitches about this.
Yeah, they were the most assholes. They're like, well, if you see this blog I wrote about how you too as a European country can have a balanced budget, and then they get dragged on Twitter because it's like, yeah, their parents gave them like $200,000 to start a company. That's the Netherlands.
So it seems as though a lot of the European Union is basically willing to cast itself into the fire to ensure that the line keeps going up. Not only itself,
it's
but
not even that. It's just like to keep their
hundreds of thousands of its own residents as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
It is the thing that I just find so fucking funny about it too is like European economy's obsession, particularly Germany and the Netherlands and Austria, with just this like holy grail that is the balanced budget that then shouldn't exist in a modern economy. Like, it's so fucking backwards. Yeah, and the fact that Germany has like placed their entire economic ideology on this thing of just like not spending money is one of the most idiotic things of Germany being as wealthy as it is. And the fact that then like Germany also then too using that ideology kind of like as this, I don't know, just kind of like this like Inception sort of thing of like placing it within like the dream of other countries of like, see, this is how you get out of it, is by being like us. It's like no other country in Europe can run a budget like Germany's. It just is physically fucking impossible, especially with how small some of these other economies are.
Country's got to have a code, man.
But even the fucking Netherlands doesn't fucking do anything.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Like
that's the thing that's so fucking dumb about all of it. Yeah.
The Dutch GDP is just the like quarterly report for IKEA. Like, it's they don't do anything, and it's now gotten to the point where basically now after this whole meeting fucking happened, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Slovakia have also said, yeah, bonds would be a good idea. So it's now these 4 countries versus everyone else in the Eurozone except for Cyprus, which they're just not saying anything.
Because they've all drowned.
But in this case, Germany does represent like a real boomer mindset, because you have all these other countries. You're like in this monetary union. We should clarify, this is just the Eurozone, right? So not the European Union, just people on the Euro. Yeah. And like you have all of these people like just producing like this monetary works for you, like for your country. And then like you have all these like other like economies. I mean, they're all connected, but these other like countries, like their economies are suffering. Like they're like the sad, wrinkly Wojaks in the meme. And Germany's just sitting there in the middle like, man, my life is good. I have a code. Like they can create this narrative about their own political whatever. Like they think that like they can come up with these rules that we have to follow, that they have to follow because everyone else is doing the suffering for them. Like I mean, on an economic level,
well, I
they
think
can narrativize and be like, oh, like this is what's going on, and then we do this, and then all this political theater, that is bullshit. Like they can stick to that because they have other people doing the dirty work for them, or a system doing the dirty work for them.
Honestly, I think the main problem is that the Italians kept buying too many fancy coffees and were not able to save up for a deposit on a health system.
I didn't know you were a Jan Fleischhauer fan too, Riley. I didn't know you were ghostwriting.
But like,
him.
yeah, like the fucking Dutch economic system relies exactly on the suffering of like every other European economy, because like Dutch economic output is just, and we get to tax this transaction on people buying a Starbucks coffee in Bratislava, which for bookkeeping purposes is now a neighborhood in Amsterdam. That is basically their economic output.
And racism.
So, can we go into the meeting where like they were all on a Zoom call and there was a lot of crying and yelling at each other?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, seriously. Like, what was it? Was the Dutch finance minister he seemed to be the biggest bad guy, being like, stop crying.
Whoopke Hoekstra, which is not a real name. I have to. Whoopke Hoekstra. Yeah, he was being a little bit of a bitch. He didn't really understand why every country wasn't the Netherlands. To which the like Portuguese kept like yelling at him.
Of course, he wouldn't understand.
Yeah,
that every country's not the Netherlands. If you look at all of the businesses, they're all headquartered there. What is Europe but just a continent-sized version of the Randstad?
Literally, all the countries in Southern Europe were like, "Please, like our economies are all about to explode," and he's like, "Hey, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm at capacity right now." Is there another monetary union you could contact?
They could contact China, actually.
Yeah,
I wrote my postgraduate thesis on the impossible trinity of the of the European Monetary Union.
Look at that.
Honestly, I tend to bust that out at parties quite a bit. They say, the theory of optimum currency areas has 3 pillars. But yeah, I mean, it's the. What I find very interesting about the European the entire, I'll let you get back to the meeting in a second, but here's my thoughts of the European monetary union and the settlement that preceded it, because I rarely get to do this on my show, because usually one of the others will just say some asinine bullshit and I'll be derailed from whatever it is that I was saying. Is that Germany and France were the first people to break the rules, and they made it so that there would never be any sanctions for breaking the rules, or that they wouldn't be meaningful. And so like they're very much the engineers of this problem. And just the fact that that countries in the south of Europe were essentially like more or less tricked by like a reverse mortgage type scheme by Germany in the early 1990s and early 2000s after Maastricht, to like have 15 years of basically like a Faustian bargain of 15 years of everyone getting to be unemployed but also have a jet ski at the same time, and it trading in for like your country then dies afterward just because Germany is obsessed with line go up, is it means that the institution is fundamentally rotten, and I have no idea how it could be reformed. For a long time during the Brexit debate, I was like, we probably shouldn't leave because in the act of leaving, you basically just create a lot of space for right wing forces to remake the country, and we aren't actually in the European like monetary system. But fuck me if they wouldn't have found a way to fuck us over in some way at some point. It is probably, and the unions of the world, I rank the IWW sort of near to the top and the European Union near to the bottom. And you can record that ranking at home if you're playing the Trash Future home game here on Corner Späti.
I love that we're now an expansion pack of your universe.
Dude, I hate how much DLC
to the blob.
they have nowadays.
Welcome to the void.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, but as soon as you said jet skis, I was just imagining like German people selling jet skis to like Slovakians, landlocked Slovakia, mountainous Slovakia.
Well, that's basically,
sure, cool.
The jet ski is a metaphor. Like everyone's like, this is a death cult. And Germany's like, but it's a pretty nice death cult, you gotta say. It goes fast. You'll feel really
Watch
cool.
me jump over this shark. Though it's great because like the other great thing about the whole like Germany and France constantly breaking the rules is like everyone left of Mussolini in Italy knows this, and they all yell about it, and then nothing happens. They're just like constantly talking about why can't we deficit spend? France and Germany always deficit spend, and they're just like shrug their shoulders and nothing happens.
Well, so I've actually been watching a lot of Riley. You made a good point. I've been watching a lot of Martin Scorsese movies this week, and this is the first rule of the mob. If you're the leader of the mob, like you break the rules first. Like your little underlings who think like the main characters in the movie, they think like I'm rising, I'm grinding. But then the guys in the smoke-filled room are like, we're fucked. Kill them all. Turn state witness. Like go to the FBI. We'll be fine.
No, that's
like,
right. All of the. Are you
that's
saying
where
all
the power is centered.
Are you saying all of the Italians are going to be like Henry Hill at the end of Goodfellas, and they're all going to move to Middle America and eat egg noodles and ketchup?
The Italians took their date like into the service entrance of the EU restaurant. Like, hey, see this? Pretty nice, huh? And they're gonna end up in a body bag.
Yeah, but speaking of how everyone's been fucked, our great fearless leader, slayer of Greeks, Ursula von der Leyen, basically apologized for how that Zoom meeting went, and then did
by making a video
it.
of her like awkwardly washing her hands for way too long.
Well, all the responses, the Dutch guy said the same thing. It was literally like, I have the quote in front of me. Dutch finance minister, I don't know how to say his name, said Tuesday that he should have communicated better and shown more empathy during a meeting with his European colleagues about financial tools to tackle the coronavirus crisis. We didn't do it empathetically enough. We phrased it in such a way that it led to resistance. It was literally like, I'm sorry you got mad at me.
Yeah, it's the sorry your feelings got hurt, but on like an interinstitutional level. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, so the EU has now suggested that they're going to pump in 100 billion euros to all of the EU. 100 billion would have been insufficient in Italy alone, never mind the whole of the EU.
Here comes percentage Twitter complaining about everything.
But also, it's a loan. It's not like a gift. They will expect this money back at a certain point with interest.
God, the EU, so the fucking ECB in the Eurozone and everything is so cool. Like, that's not like, I don't know, Rob, you can hit a percentage Twitter and let me know how, like...
Sorry, I leapt in
there.
Yeah. The European Central Bank is not a central bank in any meaningful sense, because it doesn't actually have the ability, like, even though it is constrained by its own constitution to not have the ability to perform one of the core functions of central banks that are one of the only reasons that central banks exist. So, like, what's it there to do? Just, like, take up space in a building in Frankfurt? Like, I don't fund... I other than just an extension of ideology, I don't really understand, like, even honestly, how it's managed to stay alive so far, except for the fact that, like, a lot of people will just do what they're told and try not to die. And then the ECB is just in the core of making that harder and harder and harder and harder until now we've been hit by a pandemic and it's sort of impossible.
You see, Riley, of course you don't understand because, you know, once you become a parent and you have a child that constantly shits the bed at everything they do, then you'll understand what the ECB is there for. It's a make-work scheme for them. It's going to be great.
The ECB sounds like if you were like making a state in The Sims and like, well, we got to have a bank. Like, I don't know what it does, but I'm just going to call it a bank. Put it there.
It's where my Sims go to work every day. I never see it, but, you know. They come back with money, it's fine.
You remove all the doors though when they're in work, and then they all die.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the new left-wing plan for the ECB. It was like we fill the ECB with potted plants at a fireplace, and then remove the door. Yeah. So then this is all in the backdrop of like a whole bunch of countries stealing shit from each other, which has been hilarious. Poland keeps stealing Well, no, okay. To put it into context, Norway has like a bunch of like sanitizer companies based in Poland, and Poland is just like, no, that's ours now. So there's that. I think the Czech Republic held on to like a bunch of masks that China sent to Italy. The US has tried to steal stuff that was destined for France, has successfully stolen stuff that was destined to Germany. Yeah, so that's the backdrop of all of this.
The mask stuff is impossible to keep up with. There's a lot of messy drama on the timeline in Europe right now. Like arguments, like Poland saying like, at least I raised my kids. Like it's hard to keep up with.
But yeah, there you go, guys. That's it really seems like overly technical and weird and very, very bureaucratic. But to be honest, if this fucking crisis doesn't make the EU do like anything in terms of lending out money and helping the members, then it's probably fucked.
No, they're not going to do that. Why the fuck would they do that, Kieran? Come on.
I know. Why do I believe in anything anymore?
No.
We were also saying about how Josep Borrell, what is he? He's the foreign minister, but he's somehow
He's the foreign minister. I love him so much.
But
He's so dumb.
But being the foreign minister, you're like the representative to the individual states somehow. I don't know. He just seems to be, or he's just talking about that. I was confused by that.
No, like he is effectively the foreign minister for like every EU country. Like sometimes the foreign ministers of other like individual countries will do things, but if the EU is acting as a single bloc, then he's the person you send.
But he
Mostly
just
trade deals.
He just wrote a blog post being like, yeah, it's actually really problematic that China and Russia are helping Italy. We're not gonna do anything, but it's just problematic. Like, and the media is like seizing onto this narrative.
Yeah, it's like
it's low key gross.
You should just accept that you're gonna die, as opposed to as opposed to giving credit to a regime we don't like. Cool, thank you.
How jealous is the EU of MAGA and Donald Trump, just having all these people be like, "Sir, I will die for you to protect this economy." Like the EU's like, "Why can't you guys do that? Come on."
Oh, yeah, it's been legitimately wild talking with my parents about this because they can just twist it whichever way in their head of like, and this is why it's anyone's fault but Donald Trump's. I'm just like, wait, what? Like you even admitted that then you think that he didn't deal with it well at the beginning. Well, yeah, but like where we are now, like it doesn't matter. Like Trump is definitely handling it well. It's like.
I'm not here to talk about the past.
Yeah, no, and it literally, like, whenever I see these things of, like, looking at the polls of, like, how the conservative government in the UK is being perceived now, or how, like, Germany's CDU is, like, polling right now, and how they're all, like, really high, it's like, I wish I would, like, be surprised, but I don't know. Like, it's so, like, mind-numbingly stupid, all of it, that I just have to accept that everyone's a little piggy.
Everyone who's currently in power is getting a boost in the polls. Like that's the blanket thing everywhere. Like Fine Gael is topping the polls again in Ireland, for fuck's sake. Yeah. So there goes that. But anyway, now that we're done scoffing down the fucking healthy shit, Rob, lay a sweet yarn on us.
Yeah, I don't know what to take away from that. Just everything's is blowing up, so do what you want. There's possibility again.
Just money mightn't be a thing next week. Go nuts.
Hello, this is Skylar from Vice.com. I'm here in the Black Eaker interviewing famous TikTok star and dominion over all that exists, The Void. The Void, what kind of cheese sandwich would you be? Interesting stuff. Now, when you're not too busy controlling all that we do and exist and inhabiting our minds in these deathly times, what do you like to do with your time? Interesting. So you're saying for $5 a month, you could be supporting European political podcast Corner Späti on patreon.com/Corner Späti. Well, this is Skylar for Vice.com. The Void is eating my entrails. Death is coming. Eat trash. Be free.
Okay, so for people who don't know, well, all right, I should back this up. There's a lot of, as people know, PC culture in Europe, and people refuse to say, like, it's obvious where this virus came from and how it spread, but people refuse to acknowledge it, and they won't say the words, But finally, thanks to Der Spiegel, we have a long expose pointing out the people who caused this, which is the ski holiday village of Ischgl in Austria. This is it's basically been confirmed. It was rumored for weeks, but it is ground zero for all of the expansion of coronavirus across Europe.
I mean, look, it's also ground zero for the best party in the Alps. It's ground zero for a lot of things, but you don't hear people talking about that now, do you?
Yeah,
That's the name of the club, Ground Zero.
the PC culture just doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that coronavirus was spread from a steamy makeout session in an Ischgl bar while Atemlos durch die Nacht was playing at like ear-splitting volume. Liv's just got to acknowledge this.
When will Helene Fischer acknowledge her role in coronavirus?
Just keep adding her on Twitter.
Wasn't it,
I'm going to become a Helena
was
Fisher reply guy.
She probably has a lot of reply guys.
Oh my God, she has to have a bunch of reply guys. I'm going to check this right now. What does this look like?
Okay. But also in Ischgl, it was a beer pong game. I think that was noted to be really spreading activity. People were spitting ping pong balls into into masses and then drinking them down. Basically,
That's
it's
so
like
good.
It's like if I infect you with this like deadly and virulent disease, then you need to take your top off.
They were not using a wash cup when they were playing.
Yeah, I love like also the very like European nature of this, where they're like, oh, like I learned this game when I went like study abroad in the U.S. and they play it completely wrong, but in that it spread coronavirus.
Yeah, they got beer pong so wrong that they accidentally like destroyed the European, gave the inciting incident that would destroy the European Union. They did what Nigel Farage could never do.
What I like about Ischgl is it really is a snapshot of like there's layers to this. You have like some Irish guys just going on vacation to Ischgl. You have like the local businesses, like it's run by like 4 families, the whole town. You just have layers of like
Called La Familia, yeah, we know.
Yeah, exactly. Of what it means to be European, all getting together. Maybe there's like cute bartender from Norway.
Can I tell you the scary thing? Is that when I was skiing earlier this year, my friends and I were skiing in Switzerland, and we decided that we were going to like the where we usually go is we go between Davos and Klosters, and we decided that we wanted to have like Davos is the Klosters is like old people and families, but it's very nice. Davos is a little more,
but they don't have the
fun, still a
adrenochrome.
bit staid. Klosters is fully an adrenochrome place, though. It's absolutely
Oh, is it?
an
I don't know.
adrenochrome kind of place. But we decided we wanted to go to a place with a bit more of a party atmosphere. So we were like, next year, let's go to Ischgl. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And now it's like, I don't want to go to a ground zero for anything. If your place has been ground zero for something, I don't want to go there.
I do have to, full disclosure, this story starts on February 28th, I think. I'm not going to go through all the dates. I was skiing at the same exact time. I haven't skied in 10 years, and I went on a little ski vacation with my partner's family. But we were in Switzerland.
Oh, let's say, were you in Ischgl?
We were not in Ischgl. It was quiet. It was a small town.
Really unfortunate. Helena Fischer has
atmosphere.
not tweeted in months. Her last tweet was from August 2nd, 2019, and it's just that she released a live DVD, 2 CD, DVD, and Blu-ray thing of her Helena Fischer Live Die Stadion Tour. And that it also will be on CDF at 8:15 that evening. So everyone just writing in the comments like, endlich, geile Mucke, that they really like it's very, I don't know, it's very boring. Sorry, I was expecting a lot more from Helena Fischer reply guys.
To be fair, all of the people who would be Helena Fischer reply guys are too busy like forwarding conspiracy theories about 5G on WhatsApp.
True, yeah. This is where they come to just like chill out and hang out with all their Helena Fischer friends.
I'd love to see like a Helena Fischer like 2 CD DVD set that's just her doing the Atemlos remix for
Atemlos
like 3 hours.
That's the thing.
That's
yeah.
it.
That's the thing that I fucking That's the thing that I fucking
We're
love
the
about
only
her.
people to put like a 10-hour YouTube mix onto a DVD.
Yeah, that's the thing that I fucking love about her is that then she's only had like a couple of songs that I can actually. I think there's only one. Atemlos is the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. But whenever you're on the U-Bahn in Berlin and they have no celebrities to talk about and like the celebrity news gossip thing, they'll either go to like Denzel Washington washed his hands. Or they'll talk about how like whatever Helene Fischer did yesterday. There's no other or Heidi Klum, of course, but that is it. And then Helene Fischer is like.
I'd say there's also the gossip rags. That basically is just like any excuse to be like, Michaela Schaefer wrote trans rights on her ass. Exciting.
Oh, guys, I miss Berliner Fenster. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I miss my weekly input of what is Helene Fischer up to this week. And the thing that's really funny too is that she's like she always plays like German award shows and stuff like that. She's always there, and I'm literally wondering like how many times can you release remixes of Atemlos before Germany gets tired?
Well, obviously, look, if Germany wants to maintain economic growth and keep spending to a minimum, they can't afford new songs. They just have to keep working with what they have. And with German know-how, they're actually able to do versions of Atemlos that can that can fit any requirement. In fact, I like to think that Donald Trump going into Berghain asking what song's playing, it's Atemlos still.
It's Atemlos Ischgl remix.
Yeah, Atemlos Ischgl remix, Ben Klock re-rub. That's right. Interesting. Paula Temple has done her take on Atemlos. Paula Temple and Mickey Krause combine forces.
God.
Should I hop into this?
Yeah.
Water's fine.
All right. The water seems lovely. Okay. So the title is.
Where are you podcasting from?
The title is A Corona Hotspot in the Alps Spread Virus Across Europe. If you weren't aware already, in Ischgl, guests can ski during the day and then party through the night, drinking Jägermeister and Red Bull. Ischgl has grown into a travel brand to rival Ibiza or Oktoberfest, with millions of tourists pouring into town each year.
I'm sorry, I just heard that as drinking like Red Bull and Jägermeister separately. Like it took me a while to process that Der Spiegel doesn't know what Jaeger bombs are.
So, Ryanair flight FR2412 is sitting on the runway at the airport in Dublin, waiting to be
Damn, this
cleared
sounds
for
like a
takeoff.
fucking episode of like fucking 24 or something like that.
I just like these characters, you know. I just want to introduce them for us. On board are John
Like,
Cormack.
how many words in the word count is the airplane code? Jesus Christ.
On board are John Cormack and 4 of his friends, all of them excited about their annual mancation. Yes, they wrote mancation in Spiegel. Kieran, this one's for you. Cormac is from Cork, and his friends are all from the other towns in southwestern Ireland.
God, these other towns. Fuck this article for calling Cork a town. God damn it.
No, it says Cork. They said other towns. Don't worry.
Oh, wait, hang on. I have to check if this is my cousin. I literally have a cousin.
There's a photo of
Cormac
him
from
in the
Cork.
article, Kieran.
Kieran,
check
are
it
you
out.
related to a patient zero?
Does that make me patient 1? I don't know. Is this patient 0 once removed? I can't remember.
Yeah,
That's
I would say
exclusive.
that makes you patient zero's cousin.
Step patient 0.
.pornhub.com. Let's go. Let us go.
So Cormac is 56 years old, has 4 grown sons. This is his 6th trip to Ischgl. They check into their hotel and then head for the Nikestadel, one of the bars on Dorfstrasse, Ischgl's party hotspot. Après-ski libations begin flowing here every afternoon at 3 p.m. We head inside. The bar is packed and loud. The DJ is playing Hey, wir wollen die Eisbären sehen by the German band Pudis.
It's a great song, though. Hey, Eisbären here. Oh. It's a good song.
Riley's a great example for this. Even though the lyrics are in German, Cormac has heard the song so many times that he can sing along.
That's right.
Ischgl, he says, is a, quote, honest deal. You know what you're going to get. Just on that phrase, honest deal. There's a photo, and then there's a photo in the Spiegel article. It's just people like standing around on snow, and there's just beer bottles strewn about, and like a big inflatable sex doll in the middle. And the caption is just Ischgl, an honest deal.
That's right.
But it's just like it's like the terrible movie version of this article. When anytime anyone says Ischgl is an honest deal, you know what you're getting. Just like the strings swell because the movie's called Patient Zero, and you know what the fuck's gonna happen.
I thought it sounded like Jeb Bush, like a Jeb Bush campaign slogan. Jeb, an honest deal. I will not spread coronavirus to you. All right. Now we got to get into the mafia, the mafiosos, the big head honchos who run this, who, mess it up for poor John Cormack.
John Cormack, just a small businessman trying to get off the ground, and
yeah, he's just potentially Kieran's cousin, just hanging out with his buddies, trying to have a good time.
Yeah, it fucking pisses me off that the fucking mafiosos have to come and, bully him into, protection money and shit. I hate when that happens, especially in Ischgl.
First Irish lad on tour versus Chad Austrian mafioso.
This is what the EU has done to us, guys. The men who transformed the Alpine farming village into the, quote, Ibiza of the Alps were restaurateurs, ski instructors, and school directors. Down to earth.
A bunch of dentists on coke.
Down to earth, devout, and equipped with a nose for making a buck.
Uh-huh.
So what they're describing are the descendants of the Parth, Quartz, Zangel, and Alois family, Alois maybe, and are largely responsible for the decisions that shape the town's future. So Der Spiegel, in what I think otherwise is a pretty good article, just can't help but saying that there are these four families, and they're just hardworking. They go to church on Sunday, and they know how to work hard and make money.
One of these names sound really familiar, Rob.
I don't think he's related to Sebastian Kurz. I don't think he's in the Kurz Ischgl crime family.
Fuck,
I did look it up.
Step crime family.
If anyone has any information, send it along. But
I love that this is descended into the one of two types of European money, which is ski resort European money of come brother, come on the black slope with me. I'm sure you won't die and I will get the inheritance. It's just these families, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they all have their own kind of it's like choosing a class in an RPG. They all have their own character in the town.
Right.
So Günther Alois, son of the cable car pioneer Erwin Alois, owns the luxurious design hotel Madline and the Elizabeth Art Hotel.
No, hang on. I'm sorry. I literally know this guy. This is the guy who was going around a month before lockdown happened in Berlin, trying to convince the local government to buy more cable cars for Berlin. Because apparently there's a cable car on every mountain in the world now, and they're looking for new markets. So they're trying cable cars in cities, very flat cities, because you can just build them above the buildings.
Yeah, because if you have enough money, you should be able to get a cable car that goes directly from your house directly to your office, and then you can wreck your commute really easy. And if everyone works hard enough and saves up enough money, then everyone can get a cable car directly from where they live to wherever it is that they go on a regular basis. And that's what a public transport system looks like when it's functioning properly. No one has to get on trains with each other. It's also compliant with social distancing. I don't know why you seem to hate innovation, or maybe you're just so married to your trams and streetcars thing, like all you leftists are, just because you watch those, just because you listen to those damn podcasts.
Yeah, talking about
this, but in the Berlin Senate.
Yeah, I would all right, I want a combination of that also with the what was it called? The Mana drones that deliver me ice cream.
Oh yes, yeah. Them.
That would that would be my utopia.
All you plebeians being like, we need high density transportation in our cities, while the elite like Günther over here are taking their private cable car with their Amazon drone, feeding them. He doesn't even have to lift his hands; he just feeds him ice cream while he's just blasting in his headphones like a Nina Kravitz remix of "Hey, wir wollen die Eisbären sehen."
Yeah, Germany developed a second song.
Finally,
there just has to be a Skandal im Späti so they can write a third. But Thank you. But I personally, I think the future of German commuting is a combination of all shopping being done by drone (parentheses ice cream) and all transport being done by individualized cable cars. Like it's basically a bunch of more luxurious zip lines. This is the neoliberal dream.
I do want to get into this because this guy does have fine taste. All right, Gunther. He booked Bob Dylan for a concert once and also hired Paris Hilton to market his canned Prosecco.
When did he hire Paris Hilton to market his canned
I
Prosecco?
sadly do not
What
have
do I
any
put
more
into
information.
YouTube?
I encourage you all to Google this. I didn't say it already, but you know those podcasts that like maybe they're like, yeah, you know, if you want to smoke along with us, just right now is when you should smoke. Right now is when you should smoke that DMT. So you're entering the Stargate as we get into the later moments in this wonderful little saga we have.
As soon as you said,
I found an article about it. Paris Hilton was embroiled in controversy in Italy yesterday as she promoted a new canned drink for a company accused of dumbing down Italy's proud winemaking heritage. The row erupted.
Fucking Austrian hillbillies ruining Italy's proud tradition.
it was called Rich.
Prior to her arrival, the trade organization, which protects the Prosecco brand overall, said it was launching moves to force the company that owns Rich to discontinue the sale of its sparkling wine in cans.
That's so fucking sick. I legitimately do believe that like Austria, like although Austria is one of like the wealthiest countries in Europe, they do give off just like hick vibes like that. Like I know Italy, poor, stupid, fucking, you know, southern Europeans, you know, for whatever reason, I view them higher on a class than Austrians for whatever reason in terms of just like social class and like culture and whatnot. Austrians are literally like the fucking like Appalachian rednecks of Europe.
There's a reference to that later, actually.
Oh, there is? Hell yeah.
We'll get into
Look at
it,
that.
yeah.
I'm fucking like, I'm already like, you know, you were right. I took a hit of DMT and my brain's already like.
I mean, this is so embarrassing because, guys, we have to cut the sponsor. Folks, are you sick of going to the Prosecco office?
Rich,
so glad
it tastes like money.
I'm so glad that I can be on the Mark Maron podcast of Germany. Rich Prosecco also offers
who are your Australian families, huh? Who are your Australian families?
Rich Prosecco offers 2 fruit varieties called Rich Passion and Rich Royal.
Fuck, that's so cool.
Oh, that's so awesome. The funny thing is, there are like lots of good tinned wines out there. That they just tend to be like smaller, younger winemakers who are making like a more interesting product, and they do like it because it's environmentally friendly and all that
Do
shit.
things the older winemakers won't do.
I mean, you joke, but yeah, like there are some really good tin sparkling whites out there. I just don't think this like Austrian serial entrepreneur and COVID a better, I guess, for lack of a better word, although unintentionally, I suppose, just by owning the business. Yeah. I don't think Rich Prosecco that he was making in 2006 using the star of The Simple Life was going to be one of those.
I just like how they have. I like how they have 2 flavors of Prosecco that are basically old money and new money.
Yeah, it really gives off like that whole thing of like when every rapper tried to start doing getting into alcohol after P. Diddy started like doing Ciroc, so that you have just like Boozy Badass made like a fucking like flavored wine that's like berry flavored or something like that. Like it falls into the same category of that, and I really appreciate it for whatever reason.
There's actually one more dumb rich guy thing he does in the next sentence. A few years ago, he had 400 cows painted with artworks from Warhol and Picasso, a project that didn't flop for a lack of money, but because the paint didn't adhere properly to the animals' hides.
Why is Austria everything everyone thinks Austria is? It's just like, yeah, it looks like the front cover of a Milka bar. All they have is cows. Fuck it, let's paint on the cows.
That's why
I'm a rich person in Austria.
I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but that's why I think it's funny that there are like, I mean, it's obviously not funny, but like the like neo-Nazi groups in Austria that are like, we are the Vikings. I'm like, just be like an Italian mafioso. Like this, why are you fronting? You're Austrian. So
go on.
in the article, they cut back and forth to like the impending doom. So like the health minister of Iceland was apparently the first one to identify Ischgl because several people returned to Iceland who were sick from there. And he's sending messages to Germany and Austria, and they're like, all right, we'll take it into consideration. Okay. Ski lifts are the largest contributor to tourism in Paznaun Valley, responsible for around 80 million euros a year, and representatives of established Ischgl families are on the supervisory board of Späti Seilbahn AG, which operates the gondola. Werner Kurz, the mayor of Ischgl, is one of them. So, again, the Kurz family, sadly not related to Sebastian Kurz, mayor of Ischgl. Keeping it in La Familia. Many of those, speaking of politics, many of those who have a say in the Tyrol tourism industry are members of the center-right Austrian People's Party, ÖVP, to which Chancellor Sebastian Kurz also belongs. A group called the Tiroler Adlerhunde, an association of 49 business leaders, makes regular donations to the ÖVP and expects political favors in return. Kurz met with group representatives as recently as February 18th in the Grand Hotel Europa in Innsbruck for a discreet discussion. Yeah, that doesn't sound like ominous at all. The Tiroler Adlerhunde. What? That's snake, right?
Yeah, it's the Ibiza of the Alps, all including like the weird tape where you get conned by like a fake Russian heiress, like your secret meeting.
But this is when they would zoom into the backroom deals of like all these cigar chomping people eating comically large like hams and like sauerkraut, and they're like, we run this.
That's right. Like, if you can't be the Ibiza of the Alps if you don't also include like bizarre hedonistic corruption done by fat guys. Sorry, that's the type of place it is.
I don't write the rules.
You say you're a hedonistic tourist destination, but your criminals aren't even fat. Like, they have to be fatter, like just large, round, old men chomping cigars.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's where the European economic recovery is going to come from. Is its legions of large, fat old men.
Yeah, it's like one of those weird EU rules that like feta cheese isn't feta cheese unless it comes from like the feta region of Greece. So it's like, yeah, you're not like a weird tourist hotspot unless you're like criminals are over X.
I really hate the way that you guys are talking about legitimate businessmen. And it's really offensive to my family, who has a long line of being legitimate businessmen in Europe. So, yeah, watch what you say.
I love arguing with people on Twitter by pointing out that my family's been featured in a very reputable European news source, and what they mean is Kieran's Megarika series.
But also, the other thing, right, is that the people that like just own the machine politics of these small European towns aren't even actually criminals. It's just that like all or not necessarily are even doing anything illegal. They're just like they just have such a grip on power of anything on everything that they could do whatever they wanted.
Just making money, hanging out with their friends, having a good time.
Yeah,
sounds like you're jealous.
Yeah, it's very cool.
All right. So our buddies from Cork go home. They got a text like, hey, we read on the news that like Ischgl's a hotspot. And they're like, everything's fine here. They go to a hurling match, and then one is feeling sick. They all get tested, and they're all positive. They note that this is in early March. So, yeah, sure. This is in early March. So Norway notes that like they have 1,200 cases. 500 are traced to Austria. Denmark has 262 cases. More than half are from Austria, and everything's still open. Everything is normal. Okay, so now another family we got to get to.
Jesus.
Kitzloch. Oh, this is a little description of one of the bars. Kitzloch isn't far from the valley station of the gondola. The shutters on the window are painted red and white, and the interior decoration is rustic. The tomahawk steak costs 89 euros. Like the Kuhstall, which is some disco, Kitzloch belongs to the hotelier family Zangerl. Peter Zangerl, I hope I'm saying that right, is the third generation of his family to direct operations at the Silvretta Hotel. And then it talks about the Jägermeister and Red Bull, known as a Hirsch. One of their bartenders gets infected with the virus, and it just says the place is disinfected. So they just get some Lysol wipes, wipe it down. Everything is good. Okay, finally, there's a little bit of like worry. Like, it seems like there's a lot of coronavirus coming from Ischgl, and the owner of the restaurant, Zangro, gets a text. The message comes from Franz Höhl. The ÖVP politician is a member of parliament in Vienna, the deputy head of the Tyrolean Chamber of Commerce, and a spokesman for the Association of Cable Car Operators. Höhl is apparently concerned that the news from Kitzloch could hurt business. A short time later, he sends a second text message to Zangro. The entire country is looking at your bar. If a single camera films operations there, all of Tyrol would look like a Hottentot country, which is, I guess, what they call hillbillies in Austria. Just like, you're going to blow our cover, man. They're going to see you. I'd like to point out that Höhl, who is a member of the ÖVP in the Austrian parliament, owns a hotel in Ischgl. He doesn't know that his staff are also infected at his hotel.
Jesus Christ.
That's actually about it. Then, as everything blows up, the governor, who's again an ÖVP politician, he announces that the ski areas in Ischgl will be shut down, and he says, "Yeah, we're a bit ahead of the other states."
I really am just so surprised about how they've really gone out of their way. No, they actually haven't gone out of their way. Just how like Europe just wants to like turn the blind eye to them, and it really pisses me off actually. Like,
I just feel bad for our buddies, our Irish buddies. Like I skip some parts in between, but like people just want to have fun, you know? Maybe like they weren't even at the richest hotels. Maybe they saved up just because they want to have a little bit of fun for one weekend, and now they're just like, just because this cabal of cable car operators, hotel owners, and restaurant owners are like, but we can make a few million more euros if we stay open another day. So let's do that. There's some more in there about how like the Iceland health minister like contacts Austria and they're like, no, we don't think that's the case. And they just ignore him. That's business, baby. That's how you get to the top.
And with that lovely understanding of ground zero of fucking coronavirus, I'd like to thank Riley for coming on to the show today.
I'd like to thank you for having me. And also to everyone listening out there, check me out DJing Atemlos next year at Ischgl for 10 straight hours.
We'd like to thank
Riley's boiler room set.
Riley, we're all going to be standing behind you as colorful characters in your boiler room set that everyone in the comments will talk about.
That's what's up.
I'll constantly whisper into your ear, you'll nod.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for one of you to hand me a drink, and then I'll do like a little half hug and on camera. It'll be so cool.
Of course, that drink will be a can of Rich-secco.
Oh, of course, it'll be a can of Rich-secco. I'm not even going to be twisting knobs. I'm just going to play a 10-hour version, a 10-hour-long YouTube video of Atemlos. We're all going to be wearing sunglasses. We're all going to have coughs. We're all going to be really fat. We're all going to own all the businesses around us, and we're all going to keep them open despite dire public health warnings of what will happen if we don't. It's going to be great. This is the future of the European Union. This is the fourth. This is how we're going to prop up the impossible trinity of an optimum currency area, which is by our new version of Boiler Room.
Yeah, phase 4, right? Like this is phase 4 that all like the Pete Buttigieg people talk about.
That's right. This is how we're going to win the era. This stupid bullshit. Anyway, but for real, thank you for having me. This has been too far of a time coming, and I am pleased to have finally come on.
We were waiting for you to like actually arrive in Berlin in person, but whoops.
Yeah, the last time I was there, I was like just visiting my girlfriend's friends, and so I couldn't be like, I'm off to the outskirts of town to record a podcast for a while. Goodbye. Anyway, all right. I also do have to run though, so thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, do you want to? I think people know your podcast, but you want to plug anything quickly?
Yeah,
I think we said you're from Trash Future, but
listen to Helene Fischer, Atemlos. No, we're doing a Twitch stream now, so I'll plug that. We're the Twitch is Twitch TV/Trash Future Podcast, and we stream on Wednesdays and Sunday nights at 9 British time. We might be adding one more night at some point. So come hang out there with us.
Yeah, we've had, as our listeners know, we've had Milo on a couple times. They've kind of complained that we have like a family court situation where we only get him one weekend every 3 months. If you want to see more of him, go on Twitch.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. That's where you're going to see it. That's where you're going to see us. We're doing all our best content on Twitch now. But no, this on the real. Thank you very much, guys, for having me. This is a good time.
No problem. And yeah, guys, come back next week and we're talking about how Hungary as a country is fucking falling apart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that.
If only a strong leader could circumvent all that bureaucratic red tape.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I've been Kieran. Everyone else has been here. Catch you next week.
Later.
Peace.
Later. Bye.